And welcome back with another weekly recap of the outdoor season for the NCAA. I know we're all waiting for that men's preview video. That'll actually come out tomorrow, but I want to make sure we get things covered with regards to this past weekend. This recap will go with our standard format, our four-leg format. But I also wanted to let everyone know that we are attempting to do a live stream this Thursday, in preparation for what is going to be a major weekend. The Texas relays, the Florida relays, the Raleigh relays, the Morehouse relays. A lot of big competition happening this weekend. And so hopefully, barring any technical issues, we'll have a good time with the preview. Some of the heat sheets are already out. And in our discussion today, our first leg, as usual, will be the sprints and hurdles. Second leg will be distance. Third leg will be jumps. And our anchor leg will be the throws. And these are some of the number one performances, not all of them, just the ones that stand out to me. We're not making any championship predictions as of yet, but we are going to make sure that I highlight some of the bigger performances from this past weekend. So, getting things started, looking at the sprints and hurdles, we'll talk about our favorite young freshman on the men's side. I think it was the only standout performances in the sprint and hurdles. It was Jordan Ware of Mississippi State, slightly winded at 20.18 in the 200, and he continues to impress upon us what a talented young freshman he is. I don't think this will be the last time we hear from him, but I'm not going to put any expectations on him. He's a young freshman, and just watch him grow and thrive. It's good to see a talented kid like this step up and perform so well. And on the women's side, it's proven that we now have more than one talented sprinter at South Carolina because Centura James ran 11:01 in the 100. That is a new school record, and that's an impressive thing to do when you've had runners like Shalonda Solomon and the Barber sisters compete for South Carolina. To see someone run 11:01 this early, is she a sub 11 performer later on this season to go along with Jamesia Ford? Whew, Tim Hall doing his thing there at South Carolina. He was clearly the right hire. Thelma Davies of LSU, things are finally starting to go well for her. Has had an up and down career at LSU, and I think a lot of it is to do with injury. But she's now the number one time in the 222.64, slightly winded, but an outstanding time for her. And I think she'll have more to say this outdoor season. She was, somewhat quiet indoors, but I think outdoors is where she is strongest. And Jamesia Ford, we can never not have a recap and a story without her. And here she is, number one in the nation in the 400 with a 51.16 representing South Carolina. And although she's becoming primarily a 200-meter runner, a 51.16 this early, she probably could run a low 50, high 49 if pushed, which should tell us just how strong her 200 will be later on this season. And that's, South Carolina with a great 100-meter sprinter and 200-meter runner. And, we can't ignore them in the relays. I think they'll be strong when they start to finally put it together. And in the 100 hurdles, our last sprint, we'll talk about Shania Bellamy of LSU, 12.98, slightly wind-aided. Let's also highlight the fact that this means that LSU has three good hurdlers: Leah Phillips, Aaliyah Armstrong, and now Shania Bellamy. I think this reminds me of the great LSU teams back when I was in high school and college that could really dominate the shuttle hurdle relay. And I wonder if they're going to run the shuttle hurdle relay at some point this season. That would just be sensational. What a great group LSU has. And they're kind of cementing themselves as probably the number one hurdle program in the nation right now. I think USC will have something to say about that, but the depth on LSU's side is, you can't ignore it. And moving to the distance events, on the men's side, two really good Oregon runners, Elliot Cook in the 1500, 342.85, and Giuliano Scasso in the steeplechase, 849.8. Um, Not putting any championship predictions on them, just it's two pretty solid performances on their home track. I don't think we can ignore. Um, I'm curious to see what Oregon has because to me, they were a little quiet in the indoor season. I just knew, I said, this team gives me that they're secretly really loaded and maybe they're moving at a slower pace, but I think we're going to see a lot come this outdoor season. I'm curious to see what Michael Williams does in the 100 for Oregon. We don't know what Oregon really has yet, but those are two marks that we just can't ignore. It's like, oh, okay, they have a little something there. On the women's side, we'll look at Gladys Chippingitich of Clemson, 201.70. And I know we're used to that sub 2 minute performance that we've had because We've got Juliet Whitaker of Stanford, and we've got Michaela Rhodes of LSU, and we've got Royce Willis also of Stanford. But we can't ignore that 2017 and 800 is still a pretty solid time. And she'll be continuing to have that run this early in the season. I'm curious to see what she does later on. Maddie Elmore of Oregon, 16:13 in the 5K. We know that is the Parker Balby special, but again, that's not a bad time for us to not pay attention to and say, hey, Oregon does have some talent there, and no surprise, it is Oregon. And moving to our third leg, we'll hop into the jumps. The only noticeable jump to me on the men's side was Hunter Garrettson of Akron. I'm happy to see him here. Disappointed with his indoor championship performance, the no height. And hopefully, with this mark, 18.4 and a half, 5.6 meters in the pole vault, we'll get to see more from him. I would like to see him finish the outdoor season strong. I've always going to support a mat guy, and that's just not a bad performance to get the outdoor season started. Moving to the women's side, Elena Kulichenko of Georgia, 6 feet 2, 1.88 meters in the high jump. Not her best, but still a solid mark to start the outdoor season. Her name is going to always be mentioned here. She's a game ready performer. I look forward to seeing what she does this outdoor season and what's going to continue to be a very competitive SEC. As a Georgia athlete, she's going to run into top tier competition practically every week, and I don't think it'll be any different this outdoor season. For us to see her, continually improve, and we'll see probably a new personal best later on this outdoor season. Alexis Brown of Baylor did not have the indoor performance she wanted, but she's having a great year. And this is a great start to her outdoor campaign. She transferred from Florida, and it's been very fruitful for her. 21:11, 6.68 meters in the long jump. Just an outstanding young woman who I think is going to have a strong, outdoor campaign. I think it's only a matter of time before she's at 22 feet, and it could happen this coming weekend at the Texas Relays. In the triple jump, we have Timotop Ojora of USC, 44:11, 3/4 inches to lead the USC triple jump core. And it's nice to see her back here on the channel being mentioned because we didn't really mention a lot of her after her start to the indoor season. Hopefully, this start to the outdoor season, she's going to move into the direction that we want her to be a competitor on the national scene for a title. Again, we're not making any predictions, but I would like to see her step up and do more. And our anchor leg is the throws. And what a shock. We're going to be mentioning Tariq Robinson O'Hagan of Ole Miss. Let's just get used to it. This young man is talented. He's a champion now, and he is going to continue to impress upon us and remind us that he is the number one guy in the shot put. And he did that this weekend with a throw of 67 feet, 10 3/4 inches, or 20.69 meters to lead the shot putters nationwide. It won't be his first number one mark here, and it won't be the last. So let's enjoy him while we have him. Trey Knight of Cal State Northridge leading the way in the hammer throw, 250 feet, 6 inches, 76.36 meters. Great mark for this early in the season, especially for a guy not at one of the major Power 5 schools. Nice to see Cal State Northridge still developing great talent. Mark Manicello of Georgia, 270 feet 1 inch, 82.32 meters in the javelin throw. That's a solid mark. In Georgia, again, although Petros is now at Illinois, there's still a great program with their field events. And perhaps on the men's side, there maybe even be a step up. It's nice to see them still have a great group of throwers. On the women's side, you're looking at Jelani Davis. We're going to keep mentioning her. I'm looking forward to Jelani Davis versus Maya Lesnar again. But it's nice to see Jelani Davis with Ole Miss, number one in the nation in the shot put with a 56, 6.5 throw, 17.23 meters. It's not her personal best, but it's a great start. And we're going to be getting more from her later on this season. So let's just enjoy her. Michaela Hawkins of Colorado State. Yes, another thrower for Colorado State, not just Lesnar. In the discus, 200 feet, 2 inches, 61.02 meters, our first 200 thrower of the outdoor season. This is a solid mark for her and an excellent note. Colorado State developing some pretty good throwers. And are they the new big time non Power 5 program? At one point in time, it was Southern Illinois. That's where Connie Price Smith was before she had went on to Ole Miss. I'm very curious to see what will happen with Colorado State because I don't think that she's just a great discus thrower. Chances are she's got other great throwing in her and other throwing events, as well as Maya Lesnar. So they have a 1-2 punch there at Colorado State, and more to come, just as an Ole Miss. And that's our recap for this week. Short and sweet, that's because next week was going to be a doozy. We have all those great meets. I'm quite positive we'll have several new number ones. And let's not ignore the fact that we'll probably get a national record in some event. This is a great weekend for competition. Curious to see where, relay wise, what some of these teams do. We had that early season mark from Auburn in the 4x1 of 38.7. And women's side for Tennessee in the 4x4 of 329.3. Going to be some great marks this weekend, so I look forward to seeing what's there. Hopefully, the live stream goes well. It'll be my first time doing a live, and we're able to enjoy it. So, as always, please like, subscribe, provide your feedback with comments. Remember, the comment section is open. Whether positive or negative, it is needed. And we want the channel to grow and this community to remain a safe space for everyone. So, thank you as always for your support, and I look forward to speaking with you soon with our men's preview video.